And welcome YouTube to the Smash News Network, least busted name in news. I'm your host Dan, aka Smash Amash, coming at you once again with our daily space weather content. So we've got another sunspot group having recently formed here, and let's get to it. This composite view is 171 plus 131 angstroms. 2 ionized iron spectra. Radio flux up to 111 solar flux units. We'll get to those sunspots, coronal holes, and more. First, let's look at the Earth's geospace. It's Earth's magnetic moment from space for the last 4 hours. Things are quite geomagnetically calm. Plasma speed is pretty low. We'll get to the solar wind momentarily. So this is the last 4 hours of Earth's magnetic moment from space, scaled in nanopascals. Magnetohydrodynamic pressure. Here's Earth's magnetic moment from the ground for the last 4 hours, scaled in nanotesla magnetic flux density. Again, things quite calm here at the moment, but the sun once again ramping up. And we can expect to see perhaps another higher peak in solar activity. KP index at 3 at the moment. And let's go to the real-time solar wind. Real-time solar wind showing us about 320 kilometers per second for the solar wind speed. Solar wind density here slightly elevated at 17.3 or so protons per cubic centimeter. There was a coronal mass ejection strike yesterday. We got some hot plasma showing up. You can see here's some hot plasma signal. That's the plasma temperature. We also saw the speed and the density rise at once. So only a minor shift in the BTBZ, this top pane. But if you check this out here, you can see that speed went from below 300 kilometers a second to about 360. The density went up to about 22 protons per cubic centimeter. Big spike in the plasma temperature, though. It was some hot plasma. It was a pretty short-lived minor coronal mass ejection strike. Next, moving to magnetic data. Here's the GOES magnetometers over the past 3 days. Nothing too exciting going on there. How about the top view ecliptic plane field plot? Earth remains in a North Pole current sheet. That could be changing soon. It all depends on what happens with sunspot 3030 and sunspot 3031. Here's our line of sight plot as we are observing the progression of the solar polar field reversal process. It could be a chicken or egg argument, folks. We have to ask you what you think. Do you think that the solar polar field reversal process drives the sunspot cycle, or the sunspot cycle drives the solar polar field reversal process? We've got ideas about it. Our paper will sort of break that down as to what we believe is going on. And let's move into the realm of coronal holes. What evil lurks in the depths of coronal holes? High-speed proton streams, essentially cosmic ray sources, are what those green and red areas are. We've got some well-defined North Pole-oriented coronal holes rotating in here to the earthly zone. So this one right here is quite well-defined. We can expect that to be geo-effective in about 4 days, something like that. And let's add 211 angstroms here and zoom in a little closer. Great view of the depths of that coronal hole. And let's move to sunspots. Next on the order of business are sunspots. So we've got another group down here forming. Sunspot 3031. 3030 remained stable mostly over the past 24 hours, and it's quite large and quite in charge of our attention. So here is a 1700 angstroms view from SDO, Solar Dynamics Observatory. I think it's my favorite telescope. And here's a close-up of sunspot 3030. We slowed that down to half speed there. That's only 15 frames per second. We normally show 30 frames per second. So 4 quite large ombre there, at least maybe 5. Looks like 5 ombre. The leading umbra degrading there a little bit over the past few hours. And here's a great composite. 304 angstroms ionized helium and 171 angstroms ionized iron. That's the same speed, once again, 15 frames per second instead of 30. Some great views there of the closest star. For all you stargazers out there. We've gone back to streaming live to Twitch, by the way. There's our latest stream. By the time you view this video, we would have streamed at least once more. And there's yesterday's video. We link all of our major video releases at smashomash.com/smashteam. Thanks to especially Gold and Silver Smash Team members for helping to make these videos possible. Today's featured product is Do Not Pole Vault the Caldera. If you're going through hell, keep going. That's a quote from Churchill. Because in times of crisis, we want you to help your fellow humans. So this public service message brought to you at massive personal risk and expense by Smash staff, and I give Smash staff a raise by picking up some merch. Thanks to everybody who has. Thanks to Smash staff, who's been doing a fine job with our recent relocation of the Smash News Network, least busted name in news. It's talk about an upgrade. Now, you can see my Festivus pole in the background there. Yeah, the Festivus pole. It's not raised, it's just in storage at the moment. But don't worry. We'll be green screened to the utmost coming soon. And remember, folks, do not pole vault the caldera. We don't want our viewers to become part of the lithosphere, and we don't want to breathe you in because you've been vaporized by magma. You can find links to all that at smashomash.com. Drop us a line on social media. Welcome to the Neo-Renaissance. We are still writing the paper explaining the solar polar field reversal and sunspot cycles. When it passes peer review, it'll be perhaps the most important paper in centuries. Let's take a look at the X-ray profile of El Sol, Helios, the Sun, the local yellow dwarf, whatever you'd like to call that flamin' ball of the source of Earth's life. Anyway, there's the X-ray profile. You can see it's been rising here over the past few days. There's the 7-day chart to put that in context a little bit more. No spikes in the proton flux. And let's take a look at 94 angstroms here, since we're now talking about flares. And 94 angstroms is one of the SDO wavelengths specifically formulated to view flares. It takes 10 frames per second instead of only 2 frames per second. I mean per minute. Yeah, 10 frames per minute instead of only 2 frames per minute. That's 94 and 131 angstroms. This view, just 94 angstroms. Next, a star chart. If you're up before dawn, you may see this lovely planetary pileup. Saturn, Jupiter, Mars, Venus, and Mercury all rising ahead of the Sun. If you've got a low horizon especially, you can see Mercury rising there just behind Venus, the third brightest object visible from planet Earth. Next, a solar system forecast. We're approaching another full moon. Let's see what happens in a week. There's where things will be in a week. We will have a gibbous waning moon on June 18th. Here is our coronagraph just for today. We got 33 frames there. Quite a bit of plasma suspended out here. You can see these large plasma filaments here sticking out. And some of those could be in the process of releasing sometime soon. Let's take a look at what's been going on the past about 24 hours from Stereo A here and the Soho Lasco C3. So on the right is the Soho Lasco C3 that's located here at Lagrange 1. And here on the left, you've got Stereo A located here at Lagrange 5. So it looks like no CMEs here really to report. For you new viewers, Earth would be off in this direction from Stereo A's perspective, and it would be behind you from the Soho Lasco C3's perspective. Solar activity ramping back up once again. It seems to have taken a break when we took a break. So we took our longest break ever in the history of our channel making space weather videos. We were off for 4 days, and now we're back. So thanks for tuning in, YouTube. Congratulations on realizing the channel exists, and may that solar wind be at your back.